Hello, everyone. I hope you are having a wonderful evening as we continue the Final Fantasy Mystic Quest Randomizer Tournament for SG Live 2023. It's Game 3 hype. It's Chanigan. It's farfelu. And we are here to have some fun. And we will see these runners off and going pretty soon here. Of course, these are the same flags. We see HP randomized, we see locations randomized. You got a bunch of stuff to find for Go Mode. We'll keep you updated on the runner progress as we go. As I try and get my window sizes to cooperate, they don't always like to do that. And we're off! The airship will land in the forest first. Little explorations, see where the red boxes are. The red boxes indicate item progress. It may be a key item, it may be equipment like that magic ring. Of course, you can always get a river coin for early progress. We'll get the early Phoebe carry in this seed. And I always like some early brown box checks. You never know when one of those is going to turn out to be seeds. Well, got a hint of our first battlefield up there. Is a gray battlefield, so it'll reward experience. There was a blue one over to the right that has an item reward. Probably see that picked up on the way to go visit Phoebe with the river coin. No, I'm sorry, that's not Phoebe. That's a Fireberg area. Silly me. So there is Tristram 2, which is of course an upgrade to Tristram 1. There's also Reuben hanging out over there. Earthquake from the worms. This looks like a bad fight for us. Chanigan's through one of them. The other one's gonna just barely kill him. That's not fun. Alright, if we can just get through without the turn 1 earthquake. I said without it, game. Without the earthquake. I'm not even sure defending would help here, but it might be worth trying. You could have Ben try to defend Tristram, see if that works out. But this time, turn orders, okay. Tristram will not get one shot. We'll get through the fight this time. It's okay if Ben doesn't survive, because you will still get the experience. So that works out nicely. And that's a Mega Grenades from the first box of the Bone Dungeon. That's pretty hype. And a Mobius Crest. Oh my, what is this seed? So Mega Grenades certainly count as bombs. You can finish off the Bone Dungeon now if you really wanted to. I don't know why you would. And a Dragon Claw hype. What is this seed? This is too free. We need to reroll. So we got 2 of our end game items and required ones at that. We also have the Mobius Crest already, which is required. Technically, the river coin is required. Not strictly in the sense that there's ways to do the boss you need to anyways, but by game logic, or randomizer logic, it is considered required. And the exit spell is from that first blue battlefield. And again I ask, what is this seed? Too easy. Which of course means the bosses will inevitably be extremely trolly. Because anytime you're getting too free of a start, you have to be afraid. Be very afraid. Both of our runners now with the exit spell, and the elixir is available. So that would be good for Kaylee 2, but you'd have to have the tree weather to finish Kaylee 1 first. Fireberg area, not going to get a treasure down there requiring the claw, but our vendor item, I think that was the thunder spell. Went by pretty quick. Ooh, Reuben has got something special in the sandwich shop, and it's the tree wither, so we do have Kaylee 2 access. In fact, we do. Via the Mobius crest, we could get Kaylee 2 now. The captain's cap also required. We are just getting all of the stuff right now, although none of the gear. Alright, and it looks like Chanigan is going to make the play for Kaylee 1 and likely Kaylee 2 because, you know, there is something to be said for having a level 30 ally this early in the game. Farfelu has not gone far enough to see that tree wither to know that this is an option, but soon will. Now, this is an interesting scenario. I'm not even sure Chanigan's going to be able to one-shot the Minotaur. That's rare. No, we're good. Never mind. Forget that. Scratch everything I said. Kaylee 1 gives us the jumbo bomb, so that is our first wah-wah worthless item. Also, seeds available for sale in Fireberg, so it doesn't usually hurt to get those. And a level 31 ally now to do all of the things. And I would imagine Chanigan's going back to the Bone Dungeon now, because it's right there. And if that's not a good reason, I don't know what is. So at level 30, a substantial speed advantage for Kaylee should have no trouble against this early game monsters getting turns off. Won't have those issues that Tristram did. Plus he can one-shot this boss with the life spell. That's pretty sweet. And Farfelu now looks to be making the same play, going in to get Kaylee 1 and 2. So far, not much to speak of through this bonus dungeon. Also, just, yeah, they're both getting stuff done in similar time frames. There's our red box, and it's the noble armor. And again, this is the seed that just keeps on giving early. So that noble armor will add water and poison resistance for Benjamin. And Farfelu also saw the jumbo bombs, knowing that they won't do much for you, but getting the Ally 1 item is how you unlock the Ally 2. So now Kaylee 2 is available. And Chanigan has dispatched a Flamosaurus using the life spell, quickly restoring our first crystal. You do have to restore all 4 crystals to be able to get the Sky Coin and beat the game. If you had to do it the hard way, though, the Flamosaurus Rex would only have a maximum of 3,300 HP under these flags. Of course, if you can do it in one spell, why not do it in one spell? Howdy, Anthony. Thank you for joining us tonight. We got Chanigan and Farfelu doing this Game 3 battle as Farfelu now picks up that noble armor. God, this siege is giving our runners a lot early. Imagine sleep, hello. I'm a little surprised that Chanigan didn't do the 2 battlefield for gold, because you could have bought a bunch of seeds that way. And with the Mobius crest, well, we don't yet have access to Windia because we would need the key for the Hermit's door first. So stuff to be done. Kaylee wouldn't be my first choice for fighting the Djinn, but she's high enough level, I think you could probably do that fairly reasonably. But there are these item battlefields to be dealt with. First, farfelu also has picked up that first crystal. Doing it with the axe, not sure if the trees would resist arrow, but I would sure try it from a level 31 Kaylee and see if I couldn't one-shot the fight. Also, just not that much to worry about. Kaylee's going to get it done eventually, and Benjamin will keep getting levels as a result. Or whoop, in this case. Ooh, Kaylee did get stunned on Chanigan's side, so there's where the Mega Grenades come into play. Runner's doing different item battlefields right now, for whatever that's worth, which isn't a huge difference either way, although farfelu looking to make a little easier time through this one with the arrow spell. Chanigan doing everything by melee. And we got an axe. We do need an axe at some point, but not something you're looking for early. But now Chanigan should see a pretty easy time with this second battlefield as farfelu looks to clean it up. One advantage for farfelu is maybe an extra level or two on the other battlefield might help. And the Meteor spell is also something that might help, especially if you have been able to purchase seeds. Okay, yeah, arrow spell effective enough that arrow plus Mega Grenades going to clear things out. That should let farfelu go a good bit faster through here than Chanigan was able to do by meleeing everything. Actually, farfelu going to take a pass on that for now and check out the mine. So there is a boss here that is not quote-unquote required, in that it's not essential to beat the Djinn to win the seed unless something is gated behind the Djinn. There's immediately a Reuben item slot that we can't see without Reuben in the party. There is Reuben's dad, who can be rescued with the Mega Grenades. We can access that one already. And there are also a handful of brown boxes, one of which could be turned to red and have an item check. Fred stopping by in chat says sometimes there's a tonic in one of the chests behind it. Well, if you mean cure potions, then yes. If you mean refreshers, then yes. Both of those can be things that are behind. If you mean the elixir, then, well, it's not going to happen this time because we already found it. Just brown boxes in that first cave you have to bomb to finish all of the checks here. And Djinn fight for farfelu. Arrow not quite enough to finish off these skeletons, but arrow plus grenades should do the job. Ooh, that one is a red box. What do we got? The Sun Coin! Alright, so that would let us re-access Kaylee 2 and get to Kaylee 2's item. No Phoebe 2 yet, because we don't have Phoebe 1 access yet. It does also unlock the Hermit check via the crest, So one of those sneaky checks you have to keep in mind when you're playing this, because occasionally progress is behind a sneaky check. About to see both of our runners on this fight against the Jinn with the meteor spell. Not doing too bad here. Do not have fire resist though. We have not found either. We've not found either of the two helmets that give fire resist. Kaylee can do plenty of curing though, so that part's not too bad. Of course, one of the advantages to the Baker Grenade's not just that it's a high-level weapon, but also that it doesn't miss, and that is a useful thing. Just brown boxes and Ruben's dad. An exit spell later and you're out of here, although Farfelu still needs to do the other item checks. And not going to do them now, so missing out a little bit. There's that big sun coin, which is required. Probably going to go back with Ruben, though. That makes sense. You got to go back for the Ruben item spot to unlock Ruben 2 anyways. And the Wake Water is not of use to us yet, but potentially later. So now you get to clear out the mine with Ruben, get his item. The routing makes a certain amount of sense for Farfelu. Using the Samus sprite, of course, Metroid fame, and Chanigan using the Enterprise. Final Fantasy IV. Well, actually, I think it's just generically called Airship, but I choose to believe it's the Enterprise from FF4. What is Ruben holding out on us this time? Watch it be a helmet, and could have given us the fire resist for the Jinn fight. That's what I'm predicting. What are you predicting, chat? What's Ruben holding on to? We do have the exit spell, as far as things that aren't on the tracker. Not too much else in the way of magic. We do have Meteor. Meteor and Exit are the two things you can't see on the tracker. Jiggly calling for the Thunder Rock. Let's find out if Jiggly is right. It's the Knight Sword. So an upgraded sword. You do need a sword. Because you have to have one to beat the Ice Pyramid. So that is... having one of them is necessary. The classic get Tristram 2 to join for like 10 steps. Then Farfelu will probably go get Ruben 2. But interesting, Farfelu took kind of a big gamble by not full clearing the mine. And we know that that's a biggie tonight. You do get Ruben now, which does mean white spells, and with enough seeds, you can spam it for a whole lot of fights. Dragon Claw's also very good at one-shotting a bunch of random encounters because it has petrification status. So if the enemies don't otherwise resist it, you can one-shot kill a lot of them. Chanigan did get through the Jinn fight. And about to rescue Ruben's dad. Well, not gonna bother. Would have been slightly more efficient to go ahead and rescue Ruben's dad, I think, because then you don't have to come back here. But if you're gonna come back here for Ruben 2, then it's a distinction without a difference. Farfelu is about to clear this battlefield out and find out it's just a pointless axe. Well, actually, Farfelu does still need an axe, so that it is technically required. You need one of the three, it doesn't matter which. This Chanigan is soon to rescue Ruben's dad. And about time for the lava dome. But Farfelu is stepping into the volcano, see what possible checks we might have here. Not seeing the red boxes we're looking for, so time for Lava Dome. There's one of our red boxes already sighted in the Lava Dome. It's got one of the highest concentrations of treasure checks, but it can feel a little winding sometimes. Probably the least known or memorized or practiced, whatever you want to put it, dungeon for our runners, because even if you're a vanilla speedrunner, well, you don't actually do this place in the speedrun. Unless, of course, you're doing Wexel's no shop glitch route. But in the vanilla game, a shop glitch is done that gives you the sun coin early, and thus you are able to completely skip the Fireberg section of the game. Alright, here comes the sun coin for Chanigan. A couple checks along the way. Of course, there's the bridge. You may want to dip in to the Great Forest. Bombs are not required. We do get a helmet over on Farfelu's side. Little defense for that. And we are going to get a Great Forest scouting trip. There's a bunch of boxes in here. It's just really annoying with all those trees that are in the way. Again, however, you do have Reuben too, so the ability to spam white is real. And there's several of these surface area checks you can do without even going into the tree. First floor of the tree doesn't cost you much, and you get a lot of checks cleared off just by peeking. So nothing in the tree area so far, and we get ourselves another crest. And the blizzard spell for Chanigan. Doesn't stink to get blizzard at that point. It's not great, but there's no other black magic spell right now, so it's nice to have one. And we get a sand coin, so now Phoebe 2 is unlocked. I would imagine that will happen sooner rather than later, but there is a Kaylee 2 check you'll want to do first. A 1 battlefield, I would have spammed white with Reuben and just gotten that on the way. Vendor sells the Gemini crest, so we have now seen all 3 of them, both of our runners with 2 of them. And the cat claw, worthless to us already having the dragon claw, so no good there for Farfelu. Meanwhile, Kaylee 2 has got the flare spell and the white spell hanging out in here. Kaylee 2 had the good stuff. Really, the only area where you can say we're lacking right now is on the defensive equipment. Honestly, it's been an amazing seed for handing over the good stuff nice and early for these runners. Hermit check for Chanigan in Fireberg. You can get there using the Mobius crest, but you can't unlock his door. However, you can talk to him, get the Venus shield, and cast Exit, which now puts Chanigan on track to go to the Twin Head Hydra. Farfelu is a little further along in that goal, as Chanigan is climbing the volcano, in fact, so if there's anything hanging up here, then that could be an edge for Chanigan. Nothing doing, so the only other possible check would have been behind the Medusa fight And most people are not going to do one of those mini boss fights unless required, unless the game forces you there. That's behind. More of the crest checking for Chanigan. The Apollo helm. So now we do have some fire resist on Chanigan's side. Doesn't stink to get that before the dual head Hydra fight. Also Phoebe 1 obtained, so we'll get the Phoebe 1 item here soon. And with Suncoin, Phoebe 2 will be available to Chanigan. The dual head Hydra fight on Farfelu's side is 14,000 HP on the minimum under these flags. Scaling up to 21,000 under these flags. Meteor the best of your sorcerer's spells for this fight. So it's nice to have, doing 1600 damage, that's a very respectable amount. Ruben, the preferred ally here because he has fire resist. Gaia armor from Spencer, that is a nice find, as well as a giant axe, which is a meh find because we only need one axe and we already had it. So Wakewater to Spencer to get your best armor. Got that and the big helmet with the Apollo helmet. Chanigan's gear is doing pretty good right now. Steady fight going for Farfelu against the twin-headed dragon. Doesn't look like there's going to be too much trouble finishing this off. Don't you hate it when a boss does 1 more HP than you have? Or he could do double, you know, that's also an option. Yeah, there's a difference of that gear a little bit. Actually has better levels than Chanigan does right now. Moon helmet, weaker version, so we're all set on the helmets, but that's why we didn't find any sooner. They were gated this far back. Farfelu's getting the job done, steady as she goes. There's the Thunder Rock, so another piece of go mode for our runners. In fact, I believe that does it as far as required items go. So that will be go mode for Chanigan, but not necessarily everything you want, because you're really going to want the life spell for Benjamin, and the Aegis Shield would also be highly preferred. As the dual head Hydra goes down, that's going to be Crystal number 2 for Farfelu. 2 more required to finish this off, and Chanigan is going to do the non-required squid fight. So we would like to find the Aegis Shield, we would like to find the life spell, and other than that, it's just grabbing levels as you get through the rest of the game for Chanigan. Farfelu's going to have a little bit more to do, needs to get over to the Aquaria area to get some of these checks in and catch up with where Chanigan is progress-wise. Did not dip into the Falls Basin, there's only one check there, but you can certainly do it pretty easily when you got the exit spell. And here we go with the Ice Pyramid. It's always a good time in Ice Pyramid when you've got a few levels and you've got the Flare spell and you know you're getting through this boss no matter what. Now without the magic mirror, you can't see these enemies. I don't consider that a deal breaker because they're vanilla placements from which they're randomized. is right in the immediate path. So when their positions get randomized, they're actually more likely to get out of my way than in my way. So just go direct towards whatever you want to get to. And that's usually the answer. Is it 100%? Of course not, but what is, really? The last of the axes located on Farfelu's side. The battle axe would have been the upgraded version, but we don't need it. But there's nothing quite like not seeing the enemies to make a dungeon feel longer. Not necessarily that it is longer, but feels longer. Farfelu sees nothing available on the volcano unless it's behind the Medusa fight, and going to say, let me spend my time elsewhere. Oh, like, say, getting the ribbon item. And the Sun Coin is here. Farfelu still needs that. Did not check all the little Ks to pick that up earlier. So this is a big moment for Farfelu. And I think this is the right room, too. Yep, there it is. So now, more progress unlocked for Farfelu. Now call me an over-prepper if you want to, but you had that experienced battlefield. You're about to lose Ruben from your team anyways. I'd go in, I'd spam that white spell and get the extra experience. But that's me, and you can fairly call me an over-prepper if you want to. I won't argue. Gemini crest obtained for Farfelu, so that's all three of the crests. We know from the outside that it's not required, but that flare and white are going to be very nice pickups for Farfelu. Nothing in the teleport to Max ship there. Chanigan gonna leave the one red box and pick it up after the boss. Certainly something you can do as long as you work the warps correctly. Farfelu back in Firebird with Ruben 2. What are we going to see? We're going to see the crests get over to Aquaria where the mask is for sale. We don't need the mask. We're past that point already. Chanigan about to easily dispatch of the Ice Golem. No respect, no respect! Because Flare does a massive amount of damage, Fire does a good amount of damage, but really probably better heal. So, Ice Golem, a base of 6,500 HP, rolls upwards of 9,750 if the randomizer maxes those stats out. Crystal yet for Chanigan, that's number 2. Both of our runners have the same count, but Farfelu's is a little bit slower one from the Twin Head Dragon than Chanigan's from the Ice Golem. Arrow Spell from that red box. And Multi-Key from this one. We already knew both of them weren't required, but still would like to see the Aegis Shield. One thing it could work out to the negative for our runners is such a reasonably early go mode. You may not be getting as much experience by hunting for the items. You could be at a lower level for the Dark King fight, and that has a habit of making it a little rough sometimes. Though, when you're at a lower level, your best friend is having the life spell, because it opens up some healing options that wouldn't otherwise be available. And not having that could be a little rough if you're down a level or two for Dark King. I have done sub-level 15 Dark Kings. I don't recommend it, but it can be done. Certainly. However, I always did them with the life spell, so it's tough. But Phoebe 2 picked up for Chanigan. Of course, doing the Kaylee 2, the shortest walk in the game to grab Phoebe 2. You will have to do Pazuzu's Tower still for Chanigan, and also the Lava Dome still for Chanigan. Farfelu is on the Ice Pyramid, which is one of his required locations, and also will need to do... Oh, baby! There's that Aegis Shield in Spencer's place. That was the key locked, so all you can ask for now is the life spell. That's the last thing that our runners care about. Cupid Locket wouldn't stink, but I don't think anyone's going to lose sleep over not having it. The Cupid's Locket, the only advantage as far as the boss fight would be, the Dark King fight would be, would protect you from Confuse. But Pazuzu's Tower for Chanigan, and still a chance to find that life spell. Which again, not required, but very, very useful. I would say though, if I didn't have the life spell, I would really like to be... Well, I'd like to be north of 900 HP for Dark King anyways, just because you'll survive a little bit more, which opens up a little bit more damage opportunities whenever you survive more. So... haven't really timed that kind of thing out, but I don't think rushing to the Dark King is always the right play. Arrowget for Farfelu. About to easily handle the Ice Golem. Pazuzu's Tower, you have to use an axe to flip the switches to trap Pazuzu on the necessary floor to actually be able to fight Pazuzu. Otherwise, Pazuzu's a big old scaredy bird who flies away, terrified of a fight. In other words, Pazuzu is a bird, and birds are jerks. Farfelu does not have the Thunder Rock yet, so not in the go mode, and does not have armor as good as Chanigan does right now. Ooh, another red box over there. So these would normally all be brown box locations. They would have consumable items would be all you'd get from them. When they get randomized around, red boxes get put in these places. They have equipment, they have key items, they have spells, like that steel shield. Doesn't always mean it's going to be good for you when you get there, but it is what you're looking for. Whereas the brown boxes will all just have consumables, seeds the most valuable of them, but if you can just buy a good stack of them in Fireburg, not that critical. Farfelu gets the multi-key, which is going to be welcomed when it turns into the Aegis Shield. Gotta flip the switch before you talk to the bird, or it's not gonna go well. I think the bird still moves one more time here. Yep, there we go. Because the bird is a jerk. Have we mentioned this? And Chanigan looking to finish some of the treasure checks of Pazuzu's tower. The charm for Farfelu. Chanigan did not see that check, but obviously didn't matter. Cupid's Locket would matter a little bit, not in that case. Hey, I didn't mention that Wildham's pulling double duty as tracker and restreamer, and I should do that, so thank you, Wildham. Cure Spell for Farfelu in the Wake Water check, that's not bad. The Apollo Helm is a very nice pickup on Farfelu's side. And what does the back of the Focus Tower have? The non-required Charm Claw, which is very non-required. Okay, we got that Dragon Claw first of the claws. The Dragon Claw itself is required. The others are just taking up space, basically. With Phoebe 1, Farfelu is here in the Wintry Cave, gets the non-required Moon Helm because we've already got the Apollo, and the Thunder Rock. I believe that's effectively go mode for Farfelu, although technically in logic would require the Sand Coin. It also doesn't have the gear that Chanigan does with the armor. So step behind on the armor. Gonna get the Aegis Shield. That'll be at Spencer's place, so that's not something that's gonna get missed. And we have the Pazuzu fight for Chanigan. Pazuzu, you can hurt with the arrow spell. You can hurt with arrows. Cast magic. Just don't cast magic into the Psy Shield, or you're gonna have a bad time. And one edge that Farfelu has picked up that I noticed is the Cure spell. You don't spend a lot of turns in Dark King having Ben cast the Cure spell, but it is more than nothing. And it is one little edge that Farfelu does have access to right now. Well, both of our runners at level 17 as Chanigan fights Pazuzu, and still needs to go clean up the Lava Dome. Farfelu has already done the Lava Dome, and really just needs to do Pazuzu's tower here. About to get that Aegis Shield, and the Gaia's armor. So yeah, that puts Farfelu in a good position from here. Arrow spell doing good work. Both of these heartless monsters not saving Norma. Feel free to express appropriate amounts of shame. Looks like phase 2 on the zoo fight already. Well, not already. It's a long fight, and Chanigan's been at this for a bit. Zoo starts with a base of 20,000 HP, and these flags can roll all the way up to 30,000. That's quite a few zeros after the 3. And down goes Zoo. Chanigan has crystal number 3, just needs to make a trip to the lava dome to clear it out and be ready for the final dungeon, which is just the boss. So, just the final boss after you do that. You do have to actually beat Max Ship as well, but that's not usually much of anything. It's just handing him his hat. The Excalibur was a pickup here in Pazuzu's Tower, not very noteworthy under the flags that we have and the time that we get it. Early on, it could really do a lot for you, but just not in the situation our runners found it in. Here goes Chanigan to the lava dome to finish things off, and gonna be interesting to see who finishes first. Does Chanigan get through lava dome first? Does farfelu get through Zoo's tower first? So is the bigger jerk gonna be the dragon bird or the bird? Both being birds and both being jerks, of course. Chanigan has opened the door, and now starts on the course leading to the Twin-Head Dragon, and not looking for any checks here, should generally be able to do this a bit faster. Again, you would love to have that life spell, but it just hasn't been available anywhere we've seen with the two runners. Now your best bet would be if it would be like at Max Ship. Not too likely, but that's probably the best place it could be for you at this point. farfelu did take an extra optional fight, and that got the extra level to 19. I'll never hate that play. Looking to track down the bird and get the fight on here. So again, Zoo, upwards of 30,000 HP. Ooh, looks like farfelu didn't have one of the switches flicked. That's unfortunate. You gotta have... Most floors you have to have 2 switches flipped to be able to stop Zoo from moving. Alright, so it looks like farfelu is going to get to the boss fight first. Dual-Head Hydra has 14,000 base HP, so it's significantly lower base HP. Zoo didn't feel like he rolled up too much on HP. I kind of think Dual-Head did, so they're probably pretty close to each other as we've got dueling boss fights on the screen. For both of the runners, this is their final boss. From here they go on to Max Ship and on to the Dark Kings, so very little stands between our runners and the final boss at this point. When farfelu did this fight, it was with Ruben 2, I believe. So Phoebe instead has more cure abilities, but doesn't have that fire resist. On the other hand, an extra couple of levels, so maybe a few more rounds. Maybe you have 1-2 more rounds of meteor before needing to use a seed. Versus pretty even for farfelu's Pazuzu fight setup versus what Chanigan had, maybe an extra level. I guess 2 extra levels. I think Chanigan was 17 on the fight, so 19 versus 17. The seed was very generous with our runners early on spells. Well, not so much the spells, but a lot of the equipment. We got an early Dragon Claw, we got early Mega Grenades. It gave them plenty early, it gave them, well, of course, an early Ribbon Coin, Mobius Crest. We started adding the gear as we went. That was a little more recent, but still a lot quicker than it could have been. And Twin Head Dragon is the first of our 2 on-screen bosses to fall. So Chanigan will be the one to get to the Dark King first between these 2 runners. A little bit more to go for Farfelu against Zoo. It's a short phase 3 though, so Farfelu is pretty close. And I have no doubt we're going to see Dark King up at the same time, both runners. Chat, who's hyped for some Dark King music? I wouldn't take this one. Well, okay, I amend that. No life spell, I would take this one, absolutely. And Zoo goes down. So I think this extra battlefield and location on the world map is actually going to mean that Farfelu gets to the Dark King first. Chanigan got through that fight and the 4 crystals restored first, so although this is the last phase of this battle. But again, Farfelu's in the right part of the world to quickly go to max ship, so we'll see how this works out. A very not required X. Chanigan's going to use the warp. You want a Mobius Crest back to the Windia area, of course. It's faster that way. And going to get some max ships looks at the boxes, because, you know, one of them could still be red. It could still be the life spell. I don't know if they'd be looking for anything else at this point. Cupid Locket wouldn't stink, but if it's me, I'm looking for life spell. That's what's on my mind. And at this point, I'm hoping it's in Dark King's Tower. Both the runners going to take that extra fight. If you're close to 20, that would certainly be a better thing to have than 19. And it was close enough for Farfelu that did the job. Level 20 for Dark King. And a jump says Quake. We got faked out. It was even a spell. It just wasn't the spell. Mac gets his hat, and Chanigan did not have enough experience for level 20. So Farfelu is going to have a hit point advantage. And Chanigan's going to get set back after missing the jump. So a couple more checks this way anyhow. But if you're going to be down here anyways, take a fight, Chanigan, get that level 20. But we have Farfelu into the basement. Gonna make the climb of the tower. On to the Dark King, final boss. Slim chance to see the life spell here. No. So, what we have is Ben not having the life spell means you can't cast life on Phoebe, which means you can't restore status and full HP in the same spell, doing basically 2 things at once. You still have the heal items, so you can restore Phoebe from, say, Confuse or Petrification, but you can't also restore the HP. So that makes the Dark King fight a little bit more risky. It's not quite the same, but both of these experienced runners who know what they're doing in this Dark King fight. Farfelu is going to have the advantage of that extra level. 40,000 base HP for the Dark King, upwards of 60,000, and what you really want to see is a long phase one. That was not a long phase one, that was kind of a short phase one. So overall HP is going to be the same. You would rather that be front-loaded on the less threatening first phase of the Dark King than the later phases of the Dark King that were threatening. At least that's the way I look at it. But I'm silly like that. Meanwhile, of course, enjoy the very hype music. Equipment even between our runners. Farfelu does have the Cure spell. I don't believe Chanigan got that. Although Chanigan did get level 20. I missed when he picked up that extra fight, so good job Chanigan for that. I guess probably got it. No, he did the battlefield before, actually. I don't know. But that puts our runners on even footing there as well. So I imagine both of our runners are going to play about as safe strats as they can for this Dark King. And you're going to want to keep the health up, especially in Phase 3 and 4. You really want to keep Phoebe's health up as much as you can. Chanigan takes our first wipe to the Dark King. Because again, you're not going to be able to do status and heal without the life spell. And that's a big difference. So keep the health up maybe a little higher than you would try to do otherwise. Like that 600 damage hit from Dark King is probably already warranting of a heal. Whereas if you had the life spell, it wouldn't so much be. Just subtle differences, and I think it takes dying to the Dark King a few times before you start to really put all those pieces together. But again, both of these very competent, talented, wonderful runners, who you should definitely follow if you're enjoying this. Phase 3 for Farfelu is going along pretty steady right now. And using the defensive strats, okay, I respect that. Got the Aegis Shield to block Petrification. You can't block the Confuse. But it's a solid play. I respect it a lot. And that's the Petrify against Phoebe that you don't want to see, but Phoebe is full HP, so that's not the worst, as long as you don't get confused by Benjamin. And got through that one, so still in the fight for Farfelu, that's what you want to see. Ben going down, but Phoebe on auto is able to react to the Dark King. Cast a life, that's what you want. Chanigan's on phase 2. This is still first attempt for Farfelu, so much further into the damage than Chanigan is. And phase 4, that didn't feel like any long phases getting to here, so this may be a bit of a grind against phase 4. 2,000 on phase 4. And lost my damage numbers on a refresh there, so we'll just see what we see. Oh, poor Phoebe sometimes just doesn't give us the spell that we want to see. Double Confusion is bad. Oh, and this is deep in the fight. Gonna survive this? Oh, this is bad. I don't see any way Farfelu is going to survive this. No, Phoebe down. There's no way to win the fight now. So now a leapfrog No, Chanigan also took a wipe at the same time, within seconds of each other. The pain of our runners. You can just feel it through the screen. You see phase 3 or 4 of Dark King. It is not when you want to take a wipe after you've done so much work to get there. But the runners are virtually equal at this point right now. And nothing's going to change. So you're hoping for RNG. You're playing the best strats that you can. It's just without that life spell. The only other thing you maybe could have done would be take the experienced battlefield, see if you could get a little bit more HP on Benjamin and survive just a little bit more often. But it's not really phase 3 and 4 that's killing Benjamin too much. The Cupid Locket would have been nice just to avoid confusion, and confusion is ultimately what did in Farfelu on that really bad, awful turn. But we don't have it, and runners aren't going to go look for it now. They're in the Dark King fight. They're just going to do it until you win. Or possibly until the other person wins and you say, okay, well, GG. I gave it my best. I appreciate the defense there from Benjamin. I think that was a good call and get the cure off. So Chanigan with a great round there. Sometimes you just have to be that extra bit defensive if you're going to get anywhere in this Dark King. Flew a little further ahead on the damage numbers. And you have to be constantly nervous about Phoebe's HP, because you're going to get those turns where Phoebe gets petrified, and then you have to spend the turn reviving her, which means no healing. Ben takes this damage, and oh, let's just hope for the best. Okay, attack against Phoebe is good. Get the cure spell off, and we're in good shape. Farfelu is ready to go for another round. Chanigan gonna get through to phase 3. Another petrification against Phoebe. Alright, gonna be a perfect turn for Farfelu. That's fine because Ben's gonna get the spell off anyways after the life cast and your full health going into the next turn. That's everything you can ask for against a phase 3 Dark King turn. Got Flare, we've got Dragon Claw. Boy, using Seeds just feels awful. I mean, you have to do it, of course, to keep the spells going, but it's a turn where you're not getting any damage, and you're going to take damage, and sometimes it stinks, and sometimes Phoebe doesn't do the cure-all when she should. Only curing Ben, which is unfortunate, because now you're basically a turn behind. That one works out, though. Ben is down, but gets lifed. That's perfectly fine. It's essentially the same thing. The web coming out again. Phoebe is not petrified, but is poisoned. Poison is fine. We just really need to stay away from confusion and petrification. We can live with poison if she's poisoned the rest of the way. The only thing it is a little bit of lag. Phase 4 for Farfelu. The damage numbers are getting there. Chanigan, it's been a steady fight over on that side as well. Probably not far off of this phase 4. Have no idea how much damage it's going to take on Dark King 4. I think we saw about 6,000 or so first time farfelu got here. And it could be a pretty long Phase 4, as Chanigan's also going to get into Phase 4. Phase 3 had a healthy amount of HP. Phases 1 and 2 were a little bit short, so there could be a lot in the pool for this Phase 4. And GG for farfelu! That is a race time finish of 1:03.52. farfelu taking down Game 3. We've got dings, we've got some runners who are probably very happy to be finished with that Dark King fight. GG, farfelu.
Hey, GG, thanks.
So you know you're going in there with no life spell, and it looked like you took an extra fight or two on max ship to make sure you got 20, as we see Chanigan getting the GG on screen. Level 20 to help compensate for the no life.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, yeah, no luck yet, no life. It was a bit scary, but this is, well, I'm versus Chanigan. This is top 8, so I knew I had to push. And actually, I was kind of lucky the entire race. Compared to the last one, every boss were not so mean, so I don't know, I just felt I had to push it.
Chanigan, likewise, of course, no life, no you could lock it.
Nah, I was still feeling pretty good with without life. I was like, let's just defense. Worst case scenario, and just life and chip my way through Dark King.
I think you had 2 start overs on Dark King versus 3.
Yeah.
Farfelu, I believe, only had the 1, but that one was Phase 4, so pretty even on that front. I think you both started that last Dark King at the same time.
Oh, not bad. Yeah, I had a few unfortunate wipes overall, and I had one misinput, I think, on my second one where I don't know why I used a seed when I just had a total blank on why I used a seed instead of just using life. I don't know why I did that. That move pretty much cost me the race.
Well, let me throw an unusual question out there, because I like to ask unique questions when I can. Is there anything that this tournament has taught you about the game that you didn't know before?
I would say the warp, the exit trick on the overworld. I forgot it existed. And when someone did it on stream, I'm like, whoa, this is a thing. I completely forgot. That and I still have difficulties, but with Pazuzu's Tower, how it works and everything. Defense is, I also think we never used defense as much as before, so I'm pretty happy that technique was used a lot during the tournament for now. Yeah, pretty much all of that.
Farfelu, for your part, I would ask, is there a play that maybe you saw as tedious or annoying before the tournament that now seems not so bad?
No, maybe Dark King, because I was used to last year SGL setting, and Dark King was way more easier. The scaling was, I think, 25 to 100%. So
yeah, something like that.
Sometimes Dark King was just a couple spell and okay, it's over. So it's completely different now. But I think Dark King is still easier than Pazuzu. The only thing is it's much more punishing, as you saw when I wipe at phase 4. basically lose probably 5 minutes right there. But you know the pattern, you know what to expect, and sometimes even if you do your best, there's just nothing you can do. Like I had both partner confused, or you can have just Petrify on Phoebe and then Laser on Ben. So I think Dark King was I would say the new unusual thing. And like Chanigan, I was kind of mad at myself today for forgetting about the exit trick. I told him just before the interview. I was I just felt so dumb remembering that on the way. So I just kept going all the way and get Kaylee too and just get over with and keep racing.
Well, a reminder that Hebnix versus Freddy is coming up. That'll be over on Speed Gaming 2, and we invite people to check that out when the time comes. Chanigan, any final thoughts for you tonight?
Again, GG Farfelu, second year in a row that you beat me in SGL. As always, always a blast racing you. You're one of the best runner I think we have. And I don't know, I had fun this year, as always, doing these tournaments and everything, organizing them, building the flags and everything. Try to have a gimmick behind every flags. Like last year was just remembering vanilla stuff, and this year was do you know your bosses or something like that. But yeah, that was a blast. Fun tournament, fun community. I think that's it.
And Farfelu, any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, thanks for the kind words. I have to admit, it was a very scary matchup. Starting 0-1, going for the reverse sweep. I think I pressed my done maybe 2 or 3 seconds too late because I was just not able to press the button. But very glad I can keep racing in this tournament, and thank you for organizing this.
All right. Well, thank you both of our runners for giving us a great show this evening. Chat, thank you so much for hanging out with us this evening. Hope you all were very entertained. And thank you, of course, to the great Wild Ham doing the programming for the Mystic Quest Randomizer, doing our restream and tracking tonight. The very multi-talented Wild Ham. Thank you so much. And with that, I am out of words for the night. So, good night, everybody!